In less than 2 years, Nettspend went from recording snippets in his bathroom for a small audience to becoming the face of the underground. Everything tied to his name catches fire: his teasers, fanbase memes, cosigns from rap legends, and especially the hate. Beyond the music, he's become the face of new age rap in 2025, both its triumphs and its controversies. No rapper brings more divisive energy than him. Is it genius? Is it trash? Few can pinpoint what exactly makes Nettspend so magnetic to superfans and haters alike, but one thing is undeniable: he has everyone's attention. And as his influence grows, so do the questions. How did he rise so fast, and what does his success mean for the future of hip-hop? Today, we'll dive into the rise of Nettspend, his potential moving forward, and what it all means for the future of hip-hop. This is Beyond the Record. In the backstreets of Richmond, Virginia, a restless teenager named Gunnar Shepherdson, better known as Nettspend, was building a world entirely his own. Born on March 18, 2007, Nettspend wasn't just another kid trying to fit in. He was too weird, too wild, and way too loud to blend into the background. Before he was headlining blockbuster music festivals, Nett was a kid trying to find his own way in life, looking for that purpose. On top of dealing with struggles of adolescence, the COVID-19 outbreak also reshaped his path, leading Nett to drop out of school entirely. From an early age, music was deeply ingrained in Nettspend's life. His household was filled with the sounds of Michael Jackson, Katy Perry, and Justin Bieber, while his father, a country singer, added a personal connection to the craft. It seemed like music was always in his blood, but his path to it wasn't smooth. After being kicked out by his father, Nett moved in with his mom, grappling with isolation and anxiety. Ironically, it was the chaos of his home life that pushed him to embrace his destiny, diving headfirst into making music and carving out a sound of his own. Like any other kid, Nett had his occasional lunchroom freestyles dating back to the 5th grade, but this time it couldn't be any more different. Music wasn't some random daydream for him, it was survival. Armed with nothing but a cracked phone, busted Apple earbuds, and free apps like BandLab, Nettspend started making music that sounded more like a meltdown than a song. And that's exactly what made it special. He didn't care about slick production or catchy hooks. His sound was jagged, messy, and unpredictable, like someone threw a Molotov cocktail into the middle of a party and hit record. In December 2022, Nettspend dropped his first tracks on SoundCloud. They weren't pretty, and they definitely weren't polished, but they didn't need to be. These songs were pure chaos, brash beats, distorted vocals, and a devil-may-care attitude that practically dared you to turn them off. If Nettspend's current form is too foreign for your ears, his primitive sound was something from another planet. An early track like What They Say possesses a surreal groove that leaves you stuck in a trance. From the start, Nett knew he was onto something. All there was left to do was continue pushing until he struck gold. It didn't take long for the scene to take notice. Surrounded by artists neatly fitting into the hyperpop, rage, or plug labels, Nett was an anomaly. He took elements from those subgenres, blending them until they became unrecognizable. Other artists found comfort in stagnation, providing the same meals for the masses in the form of singles and albums that all sound the same. Nett took the recipes of these artists and burned them to ashes, using the flame to fuel his own creative ambition. He wasn't just different, he was too different. Too loud, too messy, too weird. But that's what made people pay attention. Kickdoor, Nettspend's debut project, quietly emerged in June 2023, a fleeting glimpse into the early makings of an underground enigma. Initially 4 tracks long, its deluxe edition doubled the offering, featuring appearances from Casper Jem, Youngster Jack, and Fresh Boy Swag. By 2024, the project had vanished, deleted without explanation, a rite of passage for underground artists shedding their old skin to embrace a new era. Yet, like a relic unearthed, archived pages have kept it alive, allowing curious fans to discover the 1-minute earworms possessed with hedonistic charm. Clocking in at under 15 minutes, barely the length of a cigarette break, it remains a brief but intoxicating glimpse into the early shades of Nettspend's untapped potential. By this point, Nettspend had begun charting his path through the underground like a player exploring a vast map, unlocking crucial connections, gathering allies. Ties to DJ Fat, Surf Gang, Xavier So Based, and the 1C34 Collective were like power-ups that expanded his reach, opening up new territories for his sound and growing fanbase. But the true breakthrough came with the snippet, one that took months to gain momentum. Once it did, however, it felt like discovering a hidden quest line that set his journey on a whole new level, and nothing would ever be the same again. Drank, 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 a simple video of Nettspend previewing his next song, posting up with Cash in the bathroom, but his odd yet confident movements made this one of the most memorable moments in the underground. By September 2023, it had amassed 8 million views on Twitter, pushing Nett's wave onto unsuspecting hip-hop fans. It wasn't just a song, it was a warning shot. Over hypnotic, raucous beat, Nettspend unleashed a slurry of reckless lyrics that sounded like they were ripped straight from the head of a kid who didn't care about tomorrow. The snippet spread like wildfire. Memes, edits, and reposts flooded social media, with fans and skeptics alike losing their minds over how infectious it was. Some people hated it, others couldn't stop listening. But that was the point. Nettspend wasn't trying to make something you'd play at your cousin's wedding. He wanted to make something you'd play at 3 a.m. when you're one bad decision away from lighting your life on fire. Like a lot of his music, Drank 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 gives off a feeling of why not, diving headfirst into the flames instead of calculating the risk involved. Drank 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 exposed the entire scene to an artist who uses the rulebook as rolling papers. Nettspend was already making headway with his career. This moment strapped a rocket to his back. His rise wasn't about fitting a mold, it was about unapologetically being himself in a world that demands you to tone it down. This type of attitude plays devil's advocate to those who think music should be clean, calculated, and easy listening. His sound was and is proof that being too weird isn't a weakness, it's a weapon. Drank 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 was one of the many songs that ignited the wildfire surrounding Nettspend. Throughout 2023, he unleashed a stream of singles that defied convention, scratching at the edges of your mind while pulling you deeper into his world. Tracks like Funaya, Shine and Peace, Jump with Yapo JJ, Pax with Duop Kane, We Not Like You, Yo, and 2024 Freestyle erupted online, each one a spark fanning the flames of his growing movement. The soundscapes he painted stretched from ethereal blade samples to playful piano loops and searing rage synths, with Nettspend injecting his signature chaos into every second. Each release wasn't just a song, it was a riot, a challenge, and a declaration of intent. These weren't just songs, they were adrenaline shots, complete with Nettspend's signature distorted beats and slurred, manic delivery. Some called them genius, others said they sounded like a bad trip, but that's exactly what Nettspend wanted. He wasn't here to make everyone happy, he was here to make noise, and noise has always been a recurring theme in underground rap, regardless if the reception was positive or negative. Of course, with all the noise came the hate. Critics labeled Nettspend's music lazy, noisy, and unlistenable.
The silver lining of that cloud is that you can really only go up from here. I can't imagine Nettspend getting worse than this. I'm feeling a light 2 on this album.
Claiming he was single-handedly ruining rap. Some dismissed him as a meme artist clinging to his one viral moment, while others swore he was a symptom of everything wrong with the underground.
In a nutshell with this album, I basically feel like I am listening to a smoothie of every trendy online shade of rap that has come up in the past 10 years, but it's blended together so violently that pretty much anything that made all of these styles, all of these sounds individually interesting just gets lost in translation.
But Nettspend, he didn't just shrug it off, he thrived on it. Controversy creates cash, and all publicity is good publicity. He didn't just welcome the criticism, he weaponized it. The louder his haters screamed, the more chaotic his music became, and the higher the views soared. Despite all the slander and trolling that surrounds his name, Nettspend is backed by enormous support, from both fans proudly posting his music to bigger rappers in the industry showing up in his Instagram comments. Artists and creatives with high profiles that have shown love include Lucky, Joy Division, Duop Kane, Kankan, and D Savage. Public figures with massive followings like Your Rage, Carson, even NBA star Scotty Barnes have reacted to his music on stream, having varying reactions but still giving him a massive platform. But by far, the one bond that holds the most weight is probably between Nettspend and a fellow underground artist who was hacked and slashed his way to the top of the scene, despite unrelenting waves of hate. Amid all the chaos surrounding Nettspend's rise, he found an unlikely partner in OsamaSon, another explosive force in underground rap. On paper, their styles shouldn't have worked. OsamaSon's brooding, ominous delivery was already a staple in the scene, paired with cutting-edge producers like TDF, Perk 40, and Buliman. How and why would he mix with Nettspend's erratic, almost psychotic energy? But somehow, the contrast became their magic. Together, they created unhinged collaborations that felt like controlled destruction, the kind of music that dares you to look away, but won't let you. Wake up Withdrawals, and Pour Up all became underground anthems on release, leaks only helping solidify them as one of the most electric duos of this new wave. Every song felt like a battle cry, a testament to the chaos they thrived in, and fans couldn't get enough. The underground rap scene has always had its iconic duos, Uzi and Carti, Ken and Lone, Summrs and Autumn, pairs whose chemistry was so undeniable that fans saw them as inseparable. Like their predecessors, Nettspend and OsamaSon are at the forefront of this new wave, balancing their skyrocketing potential with an ever-loyal underground fanbase that hangs on their every move. Just as Uzi and Carti's playful, anarchic energy defined an era, or Ken and Lone's dreamy yet futuristic soundscapes carved out their own lane, Nettspend and OsamaSon represent the next chapter in the underground, blending intrusive thoughts with chaotic catharsis in a way that feels both modern and unpredictable. Nettspend and OsamaSon are on the verge of mainstream breakout, their names growing louder in conversations beyond the underground while their fanbases become more unruly. Producer OK's distorted synths and earth-shaking 808s amplify their raw energy, propelling their movement forward. Nettspend and OsamaSon aren't just making noise, they're defining the face of the underground, pushing boundaries and blazing trails that will soon be impossible for the industry to ignore. They're inching closer to the mainstream, but they're doing it on their own terms, dragging the underground along with them. After OsamaSon made waves with projects like Osama Season and Flex Music, fans turned to Nettspend, eagerly awaiting his first official tape. He remained elusive, responding with singles and snippets instead of concrete news. With hype building around him, key figures like OK, DJ Renaissy, and Joy Division teased the album as the underground's biggest release of 2024. Nettspend was even spotted with Pierre Bourne, the mastermind behind Playboi Carti's hits and ever-evolving sound. As anticipation grew, more details emerged, including the project's title, Badass Fucking Kid. The rollout for BAFK wasn't just another chapter in Nettspend's career, it was the culmination of a year-long storm of hype and chaos. Ever since the explosion of drankdrankdrank, the underground has been brimming with speculation about Nettspend's next move. Would he double down on his abrasive, unfiltered sound, or surprise everyone with a completely new direction? As snippets and cryptic posts teased the project, fans became rabid with anticipation. There were even wild rumors circulating that HBO had offered $2.7 million for the rights to a Nettspend documentary, solidifying his reputation as not just a musician but a cultural anomaly. The stakes were enormous. BAFK was make or break. If Nettspend couldn't reignite the fire that made him one of the underground's most polarizing figures, his critics might have finally gotten what they wanted, a reason to write him off. But Nettspend wasn't about to fold under pressure. BAFK hit like a wrecking ball, delivering on the chaos fans had come to expect while still refining his approach. The mixtape smashed expectations with a shocking 9,000 first-week sales, an impressive feat for an underground artist, and even outselling Ice Spice's deluxe release, which dropped around the same time. Fans rallied behind Nettspend as he embraced his trademark unfiltered energy, unapologetic lyrics, and OK's thunderous production, which, despite criticism of being repetitive, fits Nett's vibe like a glove. The project's mix of raw aggression and twisted humor reminded fans why they became obsessed with Nett in the first place, reigniting his hold on the underground. For every hater claiming BAFK was a fluke or proof that Nett couldn't evolve, there were twice as many fans championing the project as a victory lap for an artist who refused to compromise. BAFK didn't just secure Nettspend's place in the underground, it catapulted him to a new level of influence. His ability to stay defiant in the face of overwhelming hate proved to be his greatest weapon, making him an even bigger figure than before. The mixtape's success wasn't just a win for Nettspend, it was a statement. It silenced doubts about whether he could keep his momentum and proved he was more than just a fleeting internet moment. With BAFK, Nettspend didn't just keep his foot in the door of the underground, he kicked it wide open, making it clear that he wasn't just here to stay, but to dominate. It's clear not everyone sees the vision that Nettspend is crafting in real time. Countless comments and videos are littered across Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, and TikTok, discussing why Nettspend is a fluke, a flash in the pan who rose because of people's fascination with bad music. Many of Nett's detractors will claim that his entire brand and career is a meme, relying on irony and humor to keep it afloat. Everything from his lyrics, to his flow, to his mixing have been criticized, claiming this is the work of a prankster who doesn't know when to stop the joke. One of the most circulated memes throughout the underground has been the "when the beat fire but Nettspend starts rapping," going viral right alongside with the music he's dropped since blowing up. The spread of hate during an underground artist's ascension is nothing new. Others like Rich Amiri, Sofego, and Isaiah TG have plenty of experience dealing with trolls and narratives interfering with their careers, but Nett stands out for how polarizing he is, always getting an extreme reaction from anyone you ask. You either love or hate him. There is rarely, if any, in between at all. His fans claim he is breaking new ground, declining the restrictions to let his creativity fly free. His haters claim he's a manifestation of everything wrong with rap, from being Caucasian inheriting influence from trap music to his odd flair towards cadence and mixing. But like every other artist who creates controversy to this level, there's always nuance that's worth analyzing. Heavy vocal effects stretching every bar like silly putty, hyperactive production that makes your ears ring, nihilistic lyrics fixated on the now, never concerned with the future, imagery that glamorizes drug use, a troubling trend in itself. Despite Nettspend's explosive rise and the undeniable buzz surrounding him, there's a harsh truth to the criticisms that have followed him along the way. Without the context of his viral success, Nettspend's story starts to resemble a cautionary tale, one that parents should take note of. No matter how much hype surrounds an artist, no 16-year-old should be pouring codeine in their cup. While drug use in music isn't new, especially among younger artists grappling with fame and the weight of the world, Nettspend's casual references to multiple opiates hit a little too close to the tragedy of artists who came before him. He's not alone in romanticizing destruction. Countless others have done it, but what sets him apart is how deeply ingrained these vices are in his image, almost to the point where they're as central to his music as the melodies themselves. If history has taught us anything, it's that this kind of lifestyle rarely ends well, and no amount of viral moments or underground success can erase the impact it has on a person's life. Nettspend may be living in the moment, but if he isn't careful, the cost of that moment could be more than he can afford. His chaotic energy resonates with fans, but it's more than just music. It's a reflection of what this generation idolizes. At what point do we stop celebrating rebellion and start asking if we're complicit in turning tragedy into entertainment? Before it's too late, we need to rethink the pedestal we place these young artists on. On top of the concerning activities he's been indulging in, Nett has dealt with persecution from the culture itself. A predominantly black genre, it's no secret that a white artist joining the world of hip-hop often creates commotion. It's a story as old as time, in some cases artists like Eminem, Mac Miller, and Lil Peep proving their worth. But on the flip side, others like Macklemore and Asher Roth fade into obscurity with their tired gimmicks. Seasoned veterans have given Nettspend the cosign themselves, but sometimes even that isn't enough to make an artist certified. Nett being in this position with the aesthetic he embraces is a natural recipe for controversy, propelling him upwards in engagement but putting everything he does under a microscope even further. But if there's one thing history has shown us, it's that some of the most hated and misunderstood artists have not only survived the chaos, they've thrived in it, using their pain and rejection as fuel to carve out legacies that no amount of criticism could erase. Artists like Young Lean, Bladee, and Bones came up in an era where being different was almost a death sentence in the underground scene. Their sounds, aesthetics, and approaches to music were so far removed from what was considered normal that people didn't know whether to laugh or lash out. Young Lean was dismissed as a joke for his surreal lyrics and vaporwave aesthetic. Blade's dreamy soundscapes and monotone vocals were written off as robotic. Bones' raw, DIY visuals were mocked, viewers mistaking the raw nature as laziness. But their struggles went far beyond the criticism. Beyond the music, these artists were grappling with their own demons: drug addiction, depression, anxiety, and a crushing sense of isolation that came with being outsiders, not just in the industry, but in life. Yet, through all the hate and personal battles, none of them backed down. Young Lean fought through the darkness of addiction and mental health crises. Bladee found a way to channel his existential despair into art, and Bones carved out his lane with unrelenting consistency despite the pressure to conform. They kept building, kept dropping music, and kept evolving, their pain bleeding into their art in ways that connected with fans who felt just as lost and alienated. Fast forward, and now these same artists who were once mocked and dismissed are hailed as pioneers, respected not only by OG fans who stuck by them during their darkest times, but by an entirely new wave of listeners who recognize their fingerprints all over today's music. Nettspend might not have his legacy written yet, but the hate and backlash he's facing today feel eerily familiar to the early days of those same legends. Like Lean, Bladee, and Bones, Nettspend's approach is unapologetically weird, breaking every rule while the critics cry foul. His sound is divisive, his antics are polarizing, and his rise has come with a flood of slander from every angle. But if history has taught us anything, it's that the same weirdos people mock today are the ones they'll be copying tomorrow. Whether Nettspend ends up as a footnote or a figurehead is still up in the air, but one thing's for sure, the noise surrounding him today is just the beginning of what could be a much louder story. By the time the hate reached its peak, Nettspend had already got comfortable in the limelight. The hard part was over, establishing himself and breaking through that glass ceiling. Flooding the internet with raw, electrifying music resulted in him possessing a cult-like fanbase that can't get enough. People hate him, meme him, and debate whether he was a genius or a joke, but all of it only proved one thing. He's already come a long way. He was too loud, too strange, and too unpredictable, but he has cracked the code. Now, the rest of the underground is attempting to do the same, refining their craft to have an impact like Nett did this past year. Nettspend's rise signals the end of the old underground, not the death of the scene. Critics fear amateurs will follow his lead, drowning the rap game in irony and memes rather than true artistry. Hip-hop purists scoff at a white teen rapping about the most detrimental aspects of rap culture. Many consider Nett's entire brand a gimmick rather than genuine music. But who decides what art is? It's all subjective, and no one person has the final say. All we can do is wait and watch how Nettspend's career unfolds. Already unpredictable, his future is bright, and whether the next headline is positive or negative, the world will be watching.